Welcome to the Chamber Neighbors Podcast, a show highlighting Chapin's community and commerce. Now here's your hosts, Greater Chapin Chamber of Commerce President and CEO Paul Sadler, and Chapin Neighbors Magazine's Daniel Rendelman.
This is Daniel with the Chapin Neighbors Magazine.
And I'm Paul Sadler with the Greater Chapin Chamber of Commerce.
And Paul, who are we talking to today?
Daniel, we have a treat.
Another treat. I love treats.
I do too. But today's treat is the brand new principal at Chapin High School, Mr. Ed Davis.
Hello, Mr. Davis. Welcome.
Hello, guys. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks for being here, man. This is what, day number 31, 30, 40, 50
Something.
for you? Yeah, we're excited that you're here, and, you're not a stranger to the Chapin community. Mr. Davis was the former principal at the intermediate school and now is at the high school. So welcome.
Thank you, guys. Thanks for having me.
Now, is that the step, like from intermediate to high school?
It is a step. Intermediate is 5th and 6th, and high school is, of course, 9 through 12. But intermediate is considered secondary. So crossing over into that secondary world, I did that 4 years ago when I went there, and now just kind of staying in the secondary world, but I'm talking about growing young adults now.
You skipped middle school.
Skip middle school, yeah. I don't blame you.
Well, Mr. Davis, why don't we start? Tell us a little bit about who you are and, again, a little more about what you do.
All right. Well, again, my name's Ed Davis. I grew up in Detroit, Michigan. That's where I was born and raised, there in Detroit. And, again, went to a high school, public elementary school. Went to a private middle school. But that was kind of my upbringing when it comes to education. I was a student athlete at Detroit Martin Luther King in Detroit, which opened the way for me to have a scholarship to play football at the University of Michigan. And so that's
Wolverines.
That's where
kind
of my framework of being a student athlete really informed my leadership later on. That concept of team, that concept of sacrifice, and how to just have a group of young men, in the case of football, work together for a common goal. And so that is part of something that shaped my leadership style.
I just read a tweet, or an X now. Twitter went to X.
Yeah,
I don't know.
like
My app changed the other day.
Twitter?
Whatever. But how important it is for athletes and student athletes, and how much leadership values they gain over the course of being a student athlete. And, now these student athletes are leaders in our community because they can work well with others. They show up early, they leave late, they put the work in.
Yeah.
And so from the University of Michigan to Chapin High School here, we've got Mr. Davis. That's awesome.
So what happened after college here?
Well, went to Michigan. I met my wife there. She's in the medical field. So she moved to Illinois. She went to the University of Illinois in Chicago for med school. And so I kind of knew I was going to marry her. And I literally drove to Chicago. I remember hugging my mom at the door of my house in Detroit and driving to Chicago. And I started knocking on doors. I just started on the south side. Went to a couple of schools. They sent me to Central Office, which is on Clark Street. If you guys know anything about Chicago, that's a very busy part of Chicago. Went down there and walked up to I think it's the 8th floor HR, and they sent me on a couple of interviews, and I got offered both jobs. One at Taft High School, which is on the northwest side, and the other one is Onahan Elementary, which in Chicago, that's K through 8. So they kind of go, it's K through 8, real large building, but K through 8 was offered there as well. And so I ended up choosing Taft High School, and that's where I started my teaching career. Taught 8 years social studies there, and then 2 years as an administrator, as an AP. Very large high school. When I left there, they had 2,500 students, and it was they're up to almost 3,000 now, or plus 3,000 there, last I checked.
Wow, that's a lot. So at the University of Michigan, did you know that you were going to go into education?
Not at first.
No.
When I first went in, I was really looking in the business world, looking at marketing and that side of business. And went through, and after I finished my career, I actually had a chance to participate in the combine, or a local kind of Michigan, what we call a pro day, where I ran for the Scouts and did everything I could do to get drafted. Ended up not getting drafted, but got picked up by the Detroit Lions.
Hometown.
The Monday after the draft. And so the way it works is once you're in there and you go through the draft and you don't get drafted, you have offers. And so I had a few offers. Detroit was one. Carolina was the second. Carolina was just coming online. This is in 95.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
the Panthers were just coming online in San Francisco. And so I chose Detroit because my hero, the legendary Barry Sanders, was the running back. And
What
Barry
a
was
player.
great. Oh, man. And
Man.
so I figured, they got Barry. I could go up there and just be a backup. And so, try to make the team that way. And so I chose Detroit, hometown boy. And so tried to work all those angles and went in and did the best I could and felt good about how I played, to be honest with you. Lasted about 5.5 weeks. And then I got released. And so I got released and I'm kind of wondering, what am I going to do now? I had my degree already. And so I went up and I walked into Coach Lloyd Carr's office. He's the coach. In fact, Lloyd lives in Hilton Head now.
Oh,
yeah,
wow.
he lives here. But Lloyd Carr was the coach at the time. Walked into his office and said, "Hey, Coach, I just got cut." And he said, "Well, what are you doing now?" And I said, "Well, I don't know, Coach. I think I'm gonna put out my resume and try to jump into a field and see if I have any angles there." And he said, "Well, while you figure it out, why don't you come on and be a GA for me?" And figure it out, and then, we'll see where it leads. And so that's how education became a part of it, because toward the end of my college career, I had a chance to go into a high school and tutor, and I loved it. I said, man, I like this connection,
Yeah.
And so looking at my transcript, I was only like 3 semesters away from getting my teacher certification. And then I have Lloyd here saying he's going to pay for it. And I said, hey, man,
Pay for it.
Yeah, let's roll.
Let's
and
do
so
it.
I was a GA and did that for a couple of years. Ended up, Michigan won a national championship in 97. So I have in my possession, I have 2 Rose Bowl championship rings.
Wow.
And 1 national championship ring.
What?
Just from that experience.
Just for clarification, he is not wearing them today on this podcast.
Yeah, they're kind of gaudy. I just kind of keep them away.
Where do you keep them, though? Are they in a drawer or are they on
They're
display?
literally in my house, in a drawer.
Okay.
Yeah.
Really? They're in a
Yeah,
drawer.
display.
I would
I
put
would,
that.
I would
like,
tell everyone. I'd wear them.
I would have lights on them.
Yes.
Oh,
like
yeah.
a necklace, earrings.
Yeah.
I'd have like matching,
Rose Bowl ring earrings. They're probably a
like
little big.
everything, like everything to show it off.
Yeah. That's me and you, though. That's that's not Mr. Davis.
He's so
No.
humble.
I
Well,
guess.
and then Chapin.
Well, this is the story and how I'm in Chicago. I'm going along with my career. Just became an assistant principal, and did 2 years there. My wife finished her residency and took a year off actually. And so my oldest Micah was 5 at the time, and he turned 5 in February and looking to go into school in the fall. And Caleb, who's now a sophomore at Chapin High, he was 9 months during that time. And so we were just kind of looking, and we had a condo there. I thought it was a nice condo, but just a lot of concrete, not a lot of grass. My wife's parents moved here in 99. And he's in education, and he's long retired. But we would visit when we were the young couple, that we just got married in 2001. And so you go Thanksgiving at my parents' house, and then we'll do Christmas here in South Carolina, then vice versa. But I always remind my in-laws of this, how we would come into the guest room, bedroom, and there would be, they would give us the old soft sale. So you would see brochures or housing brochures.
That's
man,
awesome.
You could really get a lot for your money. How much y'all pay for that condo again? In Chicago, and just the cost of living. And
Trying to get you to move down.
Just trying to get us to move down. And so finally it worked. And so when my wife finished her residency, she got a job here. She works in Newberry. And we had to be within a 30-mile radius of her job, and that put us right off the peak exit in Rolling Creek, actually. It's where we had our first house, and we were zoned for Chapin. And so that's how the Chapin connection happened through Ballantyne to Chapin. And so my kids were already in the Chapin cluster, moving in 14, 15 years ago. And my first job was at Columbia High. And so I did AP there for 4 years, and then moved over to Spring Hill for 3 as an AP, And then I started looking for principalships, and lo and behold, Harbison West Elementary comes open, and I'm thinking there's no way they're going to hire a high school guy for this elementary position. And sure enough, went in there, and Dr. Hefner was superintendent at the time, and I got offered the job. And I said, hey, man, I'm going to take it. And so I'm going from almost young adults to 3-year-olds.
A little bit of a difference.
Yeah,
Oh yeah,
that's right.
yeah, the knee hugs and
Oh,
Mr.
yeah.
Davis,
We love you.
They like the principal all of a sudden.
Yeah.
love you. Yeah, it's just, you're right. That's exactly it. And so, man, I love my time there. Great people there. Was there for 3 years, and then Chapin Intermediate came along and ended up moving up this way. And at that time, my wife and I purchased a house over in Chapin. And so it just worked out, man. It's been very fortunate and blessed to be in this situation. And now Chapin High School.
Wow.
And so my son is there, and one of the things about being a high school principal, you want to be a part of those extracurricular activities for your own children. And I didn't want to miss anything. I didn't miss anything for my oldest, and I'm not going to miss anything for my youngest. So.
That's awesome. And Caleb, is that his name?
Yes.
Caleb. So what happens if Caleb gets in trouble now? Well, he's got to go to your dad's office. It's not the principal's office anymore. It's go to your dad's office.
Well, I think the village that's there is strong at Chapin High School, and he will be redirected.
Of course.
Redirected.
Of course.
Yeah,
Not that I'm saying there's going to be any problems. Of course there's not going to be any problems. But how funny is that? Like, go to your dad's office.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Not going to happen.
So this Chapin High School opportunity opening up recently. This is your first year there. Tell us about that, and maybe your thoughts or plans for the first year as being principal.
Yeah, just, you think about just the high school itself, how dynamic high schools are. You think about, I describe it as it's like New York City. It never sleeps. There's always something going on. There's so many ways for our students to engage. And so how do we, from a system standpoint, set up to where we can support that and enhance it for our students? And so that's really the stance that you take as a high school leader. And Chapin's no different. And so, for the first year, you just do a lot of watching and listening, problem solving when necessary, but definitely just trying to learn the place and just kind of learn things about it. I had a son graduate from Chapin. I have a son that's in school now, but again, I don't know it the way those who serve there know it. And so that's just the first thing, is just to be that, to try to provide a space where people feel that their opinions matter, that they're welcome. Again, going back to what I talked about, what I learned at the University of Michigan and just from team sports, we had a coach there, legendary coach Bo Schembechler, who would say that no person is bigger than the team. The team, the team, the team. And so when you have that mindset, that this is a team, this is about us, and we together can make this a great place to serve and a great place for our students to learn and grow.
Yeah, absolutely it is. And I hope you are ready to get your steps in at Chapin High School, because that place is huge.
Yes.
We did freshman orientation last year with our daughter, and we got lost, and 2, I probably got all my steps in for the day during that freshman orientation. Freshman orientation's coming up soon, right?
It is. It's actually this Saturday.
Nice.
Well, no, not this. It's the 5th of...
It's coming up.
Yeah,
It's coming up.
Yeah.
It's coming up.
How many freshmen are we bringing in this year, roughly?
It's close to over 400.
Wow,
Yeah.
400. And how many kids are at the school this year?
1632 is what it was last year. I believe we're going to be close to that this year.
That's a lot of students.
And changing. I mean, because we
right.
have people coming in. Of course, you have attrition, people leaving.
Sure.
But there's more coming in than leaving. So.
Yeah. Well, we get that every day here at the Chamber. People are calling, moving here. And one of the questions that we ask them, one of the reasons they give us, is they're moving here because of the school district.
That's right.
They're moving here for the Chapin Elementaries and the Lake
Because
Murray
of the new
Elementaries.
principal at the high school.
And exactly, they tell me, like, I heard about this guy who played at Michigan, and
there was an article in the Chapin Neighbors magazine about him as well.
Oh.
So that might be why.
Okay, that is probably why. But people are moving here left and right, and it truly is. It's because of District 5 and the Chapin cluster to this area. is why they're moving here. So that's you got your work cut out for you, because these people are coming in with high expectations. And I know that it's going to be an amazing school year. So what do you do during the day? Like, what does a principal do? Sit in your office and just wait for kids to walk in and come and chat with you,
just
or
walk the halls?
Walk the halls. Like what do we do? I know you haven't experienced yet what that high school looks like here in Chapin, but what do you do?
Yeah, I think the most important thing for me is I want to be visible as much as possible. And so you're out and about. I try to never be in my office unless I have to. Usually office time is when, the kids are gone. Really, your teachers are gone. Most of them. A lot of them work long hours as well. That's the time where you can settle into your office, either before they arrive or after they've left. After that, the job is beyond those doors. Right. And so it's really just that visibility, being there, checking in on people. Again, you try to push into spaces that try to let people know that you're here. And, and in our business, we have a marker for new teachers. It's usually the third year is that year that they say is the year where it's the deciding year, whether you're going to stay in education or you're going to move out of it. Right. And so it's like, hey, if we can get them past the third year, they'll be okay. Now, I do know what the research says about that, but you know what? It could be year 15 for a teacher. Right. And it could be that 15th year. That's that tough year. So how do we, when I'm just talking about just faculty, staff, myself, administrators, how do we build a system of support for each other? I think a part of that is just being present and approachable. And so people feel comfortable. And sometimes you have to ask a question. Sometimes you have to start a conversation to get to those moments where, oh man, this was assigned, and I know this is why I should be in this hall right now because of this conversation that I'm having with this teacher. So I just look for those moments. And so again, I just something that I think about, something that if I pray about something, it would be to just make the appointment to where I can be where I need to be for the people that I'm charged to lead. Right.
So for those who don't know Mr. Davis, what are some values that are maybe behind you as a person, or things that you're even wanting to instill in the faculty and the students at Chapin High?
Now, for my faculty, they'll see this in a couple of weeks, but or about a week or so. But it'll be really just faith, family, believe in that, just that idea of loyalty, commitment, beyond anything else. How can we be committed to something that even when, man, I'm really disappointed about that decision, but I'm committed to the goal here, and treating people with dignity and respect. That is a big part of it with that. And also just telling them that I'm going to be visible. I'm going to communicate. I'm going to listen with a supportive ear. And again, offering them their professionalism with dignity and respect. And so if I can do those things, and I tell them, look, you all watch. I said, look, I'm going to say this once, or at least I'll do it periodically. But when I bring it up, that's about it. I'm not one to do a lot of talking about it. You watch me. You watch me walk and watch me work. And if I'm falling short, call me on it.
It's all about relationships. I think whatever we're doing in life, whether we're a principal, publisher, we work for the Chamber of Commerce, it's all about relationships with people, and it's how you treat people. And being real with people, I think, is important, and that you get that trust from the people who you're working with.
Yeah. So. Or just wear the national rings and people will respect you.
Yeah,
just pull them out of the drawer.
Yeah, I mean, if I was in his shoes, I would have mine and be like, "Do you know who I am?"
I'd have replicas made.
I would too. I would too. You would probably need to.
Yeah.
What's your favorite part about being a principal?
That's a great question.
You were a principal at the intermediate school and now at the high school. What is it about being a principal of a school just gets you excited?
I mean, just to me, it would be the growth process and watching students just change over time. Just grow and mature and matriculate. And now at the high school, man, they're going to leave me or leave us at Chapin High as young adults, when you hit that 18 mark, man. And that is something that I'm looking forward to. So I that kind of just growth over time with professionals. Anything that is not changing, in my opinion, is dead. You have to grow and push towards something. I think about at Chapin High. We say we have 1,000 passions and one heartbeat, and that heartbeat to me is an indication of life. Right. So what kind of life are we going to live at Chapin? Again, and that's my thing. Is if you're alive, you're gonna grow, you're gonna change, and we're gonna get better. And that's how I see it. And so, just watching that process is something that I really lean into when it comes to finding joy on the job every day.
That's exciting. Have you learned the one heartbeat chant yet?
I've heard it, and I don't have it down. In fact, I meet with student council this week or sometime soon. And so we're gonna go over that, and
they'll teach you.
They'll get me
They'll
straight.
teach you. They'll get you straight. Yes,
right,
they will.
But the most important thing is, of course, hearts are beating and it's one.
Right.
But what kind of life are we living? That's the question I'm asking. How are we living here?
Right.
And what kind of life we're going to have for ourselves?
Community. Right. It's all about community.
Absolutely.
Community relationships. I think those are important things to instill in our students.
Yes.
So.
Yes. Well, as we're wrapping up, is there one thought you'd like to leave with our listeners?
Well, again, I'm so excited about being a principal at Chapin High School. Looking forward to this journey, together, learning, growing together, and looking forward to connecting with people outside of our school, and this community and how great this community is, and being partners with us to just help build the best possible place for our students to come and turn into young adults. So that's what I'm looking forward to. Again, I'm one who I don't do a lot of talking about it, but I want you to just watch the work that we're going to do at Chapin, and I think you'll be pleased. I know you'll be pleased. Awesome.
Well, we appreciate you. Good luck in your first year at Chapin High School, and thank you so much for being on our podcast.
Thank you for having me.
This has been the Chapin Neighbors Podcast, where we highlight all that makes our community special. We hope you enjoyed our time together. Please like, subscribe, and share the Chapin Chamber Neighbors Podcast.